making less money as far as hourly rate goes, but they're actually going to be making the same amount, or with FLSA, more money.
Mm-hmm.
So you might look at, I'm making, just throw a number out, $11 an hour, but with this new 24-hour schedule, you might be only making $7.50 an hour. But in the overall scheme of things, you're not losing money, you're actually
Right.
probably going to be making more.
Right.
And they're aware of that. I'll approach that also.
Okay.
The other thing I have is the annex building. I know we're still in the architectural phase of it, and it's been there for about 2 years. You're aware that we can't put the EOC in there because it's not tornado approved. And that is a FEMA, Homeland Security, and a state issue. The state states that every emergency services has to have an EOC. If you're getting federal money, you have to have an EOC. If you're getting state money, you have to have an EOC. So we have to put an EOC in place. However, we can't really put it in the annex building unless we tornado proof the whole thing, and that would be astronomical.
The whole building, you just can't have a safe area.
Because the infrastructure set up there, unless you built your entire EOC tornado proof. If we just put it over there in the building, it would not qualify. The reason it would not qualify is because it's as far as EOC is concerned and the incident command structure, ICS 1 and 2 and 3 and all that, it has to have survivability. That's one of the classifications they say for any EOC, has to be survivable. It doesn't qualify. So, my proposal is we possibly look at a public safety building. Since we haven't started sinking a lot of money into remodeling that building yet, look into a public safety building. That would be fire, EMS, and sheriff, 911, the whole shooting match, so to speak, and see what that would cost. Feasibility study and the cost analysis of doing that. I've gone through a lot of different townships already that have done public safety buildings. Here's some information I just printed off. They've already done their feasibility studies, accountabilities, etc. To see if it would benefit them. They've all come to the same conclusion. It's better for the community, it's financially feasible, and it's more of a responsible way to go about the money being spent. The issue with that is also, there is money out there for specific things like this. One is preparedness grants, and right here it states emergency operation construction, and renovation are now allowable expenses under the fiscal year 2009 emergency management performance grants. So there's a grant that we can go after. There's hazardous materials emergency preparedness grants that actually builds into the EOC operations. And the big one is the USDA. Will fund public safety building, or the majority of it, up to matching funds. And the kicker here is it's the grants to assist in development of essential community facilities in rural areas and towns up to 20,000 persons in the population. So that's a grant for that. I did speak with Carol Meyer from the Department of Commerce and developing a study for this.
She was here.
She was here.
She's a big deal,
Right.
too.
She's in contact with me and another gentleman who is apparently new, but is going to be taking over the Region 3 area. So we'll contact.
Well, she indicated us possibly this, our annex, if we could get monies for that to offset the.
Yes. As far as the sheriff department goes, and
Offset the cost of that.
Right.
So what does it take to make building compliant?
It has to be,
Encased in concrete or something?
it does, it has to be reinforced encased concrete. The EOC technically and 911 center should be below ground level. So it is even more secure from the high winds of a tornado. An F5 or anything over 200 miles an hour. So technically it should be underground. If you look at 95% of all EOCs, they are underground. Now,
25%?
they're underground. Garden City, they're very nice EOC, and the 911 center is underground. Unless the building is freestanding and can withstand over 200 miles an hour, it has to be underground. Technically. So, the good thing about an EOC is a well-staffed, well-developed EOC is a multi-purpose area. So it's also used for training facilities, meetings, boardrooms. It's multi-purposed. And then if you have to go into emergency operations, it's basically throwing a couple switches and moving some tables. So that's the way to look at it. And if we chose not to approach a public safety type building, maybe we would approach it as redoing the present building where the ambulance and the fire truck is now. Remodeling that because there's grant money for that also. Specifically for remodeling buildings. And this one is specifically for EOC buildings. So there's money out there. There's a lot of money out there. It's really depending on which way we wanted to go.
Is it gonna be in effect next year then, you think, money? Is it all gone after this year?
No, it should be in effect. It should be. And especially this USDA should definitely be in effect for next year. The Safer Grant money, that'll be in effect for 2009, but we can't apply until the end of the spring, early summer is when they put the applications out. So it's all based on timing. And we're kind of at the end of the year, so we want to start thinking about which way we want to go. What's going to be most beneficial. We want to look at the money that we'd probably save if we didn't redo the annex building and possibly change it into a community center. Or if you wanted to do that, would it be more beneficial to remodel the existing building where the ambulance and fire truck is now with grant money? It's studies that we probably need to start looking into.
I wonder what size of building we would need.
Well, that's,
For
I
this
would talk to
kind of-
Sheriff Parks
Yeah.
and see what he kind of wanted. I talked to some of the dispatchers down there about their issues with the 911 system. I know we are spending a fairly large chunk of change every month just to house inmates at
Mhm.
other facilities. That money right there is a lot of money we could save each month just by having our facilities, which would basically offset. It would pay for, the facility would pay for itself within about a year. Yeah. Even if we use our own money and grant money also, matching funds. Money we would save just from inmates.
You're talking about building a jail, too.
In the public safety building, yes, it would all be one entire building. And it's
Well,
not,
see, like spend more. Reason we don't have them, because of the expense of the jail, and you gotta have 24/7, you know, and all kinds of stuff you gotta jump through to get there. We found it more reasonable to have them off-site than have them in the house, because they had all responsibility, all liability for when Brad and break in or something, $35 a day or what it was. And take an awful lot of inmates, just be like paper.
but that's one of the issues that we studied. Because we also talked about, if you wanted to throw that in there as far as getting USDA money and grant money, and there might be law enforcement safer grants to hire personnel
I think
We talked about
Russ County
economic.
had a problem trying to get theirs off there and get paid for, and build jail for the lines. They're still struggling, I thought, last time.
Now, if they just wanted to build holding cells.
This is what we had in mind here, is have a holding area where we could leave them there when they go to court, rather than have them sit out in the hall and somebody's out there with them, you know,
Right.
and bring them across.
The holding cells would be definitely more feasible, which is probably the direction that I was going to push, as opposed to a
Yeah,
jail facility.
I think in Arthur County, I think it's a little bit.
This one channels 12. You know, I'm just thinking of the ramifications of, you know, putting in a jail, the laundry facilities, the dietary, the staffing.
Lots of
That's
fear.
Well,
Stafford County.
there is, that's one of the studies, how much would it cost to have one here as opposed to what we're spending each month to have them sent out. Playing the devil's advocate.
You build one, next year, they make enough changes in it, that you've got to just keep spending money on the things.
As far as the annex?
No,
Well,
as
the
far as
jails
as far
are
as
compliance.
keeping.
Lots issues.
Oh, right.
Because I was talking to people in Wise County, and they said, when you build it, it's not new.
No,
You've got to upgrade them all the time.
Absolutely. So that was, that would be, that's an issue that would, do we want to just have holding cells? Holding cells.
Holding area.
And I would prefer-
We need a holding area, I think, bring it down, that stays.
Right, and I
That's
would
our
prefer
idea,
a
over here,
holding-
just have a holding area where we'd be all compliance and that.
Right. But that, I agree with 100%. You can actually build a two-story holding facility in a smaller area. You can actually put, going 2 stories, you can put 4 inmates in this room, 2 stories. So it's more effective, cost-effective to do that. But that's, throwing it out there, see what's going to be. On that also, if we decide not to possibly go with a completely new building, I would have to remodel my building anyway. It's not ADA compliant. So we'd have to look into that, grant money, et cetera. And if we decided to go to 24/7 issue, we have to have living quarters and all that. So I would like to go ahead and start looking into that also, making the building ADA compliant, redoing the building, put the EOC out there. See what kind of money we get from USDA and grant monies.
That'd be contingent on what kind of grant money we'd be able to take.
But I also have to get a study going to see how much it would cost, so I know how much. grant
Well,
money.
the other thing too is the size of the building.
Mhm.
How many square feet would be, if we went a new building?
That's a
And you-
feasible.
And you don't, and out here at the existing facility, there's no basement in there, is there?
No,
It's on a slab.
it's on a slab. And what it would cost to dig down or make the building, that area at least.
You just have just one area for them to, just how large area you have to have for,
For an EOC, or,
yeah, if you want something to be compliant, that way you gotta have.
well, the
underground.
just for the EOC building, it has to be 50 to 85 square feet per person. That's FEMA's and Homeland Security's absolute minimums. So depending on how many persons you would have in there, that's the minimums you have to have. Normally, you're gonna have anywhere between 5 and 6 people at minimum in your EOC.
You said 5 to 6?
That's it, that's bare minimum. But if we had,
So if you had 8, it'd be 6,400 square foot building.
for the EOC. Okay.
80, you said 80
80
feet
square feet.
per person? 640, I'm sorry.
But I'll take the 6,400,
I'm always
that'd be
thinking
great.
big numbers.
We've got a basement there, it is. Well, seriously,
Yeah, I know
when
we
you get,
do.
why couldn't you have, if you got a place, incorporate from the building over there, you could have a little tunnel over here in the basement and be set up if you need to.
Good.
You know?
Those,
You
we have to
could
look at
leave it like it
different-
was, but if you had something come up, you'd have a place to go, same area. Not the nicest basement.
Unless you built it, you didn't have to build it underground, you build it above ground,
Yeah.
as long as it's survivable. But if we did that, I'm just looking at if we built a public safety building, it's already incorporated in.
Mhm.
If we remodel a building out there, we can incorporate it in. So it's not like we're going to just build an ELC by itself over here. We would incorporate it into a structure of some sort. So we're compliant and we get federal money.
Is this existing building used to be a KDOT building?
Yes,
So it's just block?
just about. Which we can get away with just remodeling the engine bays and leaving them alone. My initially thought process was adding 2 bays on at the very end, extend it out, making it 4 bays and drive-through, as far as safety issues go also.
Mhm.
Taking the 2 bays in the middle and making those a training facility, training area. And then going out the other way and adding on to that, and then possibly putting the USC. So building around the building that's there now. Which would probably be very feasible to do. As opposed to starting from scratch.
Mhm.
Because there's a lot of parking lot out there. There's a lot of areas to go. Just need to kind of get a direction which way we want to go into, so I know which grant money to go after. Right now, I think I'm going to go after everything. Right?
So you'd have to put the 911 out, say for example, if you went out there and remodel it there, you take the 911 call center and move it there, or would
You
it
can
still
do-
be with the sheriff's department?
You can do it one of 2 ways. You can leave it with the sheriff's department, and for redundancy, you can have a 911 system, 911 in a box is what we call it,
Mhm.
at the EOC center. So if something happens here, they can just switch over there. You don't have to have the whole 911 system over there, unless that's what you want to do.
Mhm.
If you have a public safety building, it's all together. Basically half of it's sheriff, 911, fire, EMS, everything's in one building. So then you only have to have one building, one facility to worry about.
Well,
So you gotta check into some of those, see what's available in money yet, or first
I'm-
step or what?
Definitely going to check into what's available.
Available.
I'm still waiting to hear back from USDA. They have to do little studies, which most of the population density studies and rural area studies have already been done, so that shouldn't be an issue. But I also believe that to go after any of these grants, we have to know pretty
what
rough
we want to do.
idea of what we want to do and how much will it cost. So we can tell the USDA,
You can
we
just
need,
figure out, so you gotta have an idea that's,
we need $2 million. That's telling me.
Mhm.
We need to go to the Homeland Security and say, I need $50,000 just to build my EOC. So we have an idea of dollars, what it's going to cost, and the effectiveness.
Yeah, because USDO is always nice to have a feasibility study,
Absolutely.
and that's usually a couple grand.
what are the other counties, they have these facilities in them, like Pratt? and
As far as
Great
EOCs go,
Bend?
and that class that I just went to in Garden City, theirs was just up and running, nice facility. But it's a multi-purpose area. Most of the time it's used for meetings, for training.
Mhm.
et cetera. And like I said, all they do is have a sliding accordion style door in the middle of it, and just open it all up, and a couple switches, turn on the radios, and then you're ready to go. So, all emergency preparedness, emergency planning, fire, EMS, anyone who's getting any kind of money has to have an EMS. That's, we're there.
We're there.
We're there. So how do we want to go about it? There's a couple of different ways. So, make that kind of window.
Well, first of all, we're gonna have to find out how big the area we need, right?
By minimums.
Yeah.
True. But if we do it in a responsible way, we make it a multi-purpose room. We can just basically make it a training center or meeting area and incorporate the EOC in that. Basically, your standard size classroom is plenty big enough for EOC. So it's really whether we want to,
I don't know.
whether we want to go with
I
a,
would
I'm not
think,
picking on this for about.
Yeah.
that's right, I'm
you know,
just,
my thought is, looking at, a remodel of the existing building, making it storm-proof. But then on the other hand, looking at, a new building. But I think the thing is, we're gonna assess our needs and to say, do we want to emergency operation command, the bare minimum, or do we want to make it a multi-purpose facility? We've got this building over here that, will serve as a multi-purpose building, but it won't serve as a EOC. Okay, so do we look at the building, the existing building out where you're at now, see what it takes to make it an EOC remodel? Or do we scrap everything, and go
well, and
millions of
also,
dollars and buy?
right, so the money that is earmarked to remodel the annex building, do you want to go ahead and remodel that, or take that money and put it towards a public safety building, which would be for everyone? Right? Because anytime you work in your EOC, you have to have EMS, fire, police, or the sheriff, or St. John, or technically all the facility, all the areas involved. We have to have 911 center, our communication representative also. Anyone who's going to be affected. The school systems, they should have a representative there. Once we start getting state involved, then you're going to have state people coming in. One of you all have to be there. You have to sign off on state money. So, as I said, at minimum, when it first gets going, you're going to have probably at least six people. Now, if you have a public safety building, you already have the center and the core of your infrastructure already there.
Have you talked to Jeff about this?
I have not.
Have you talked to the
tried-
city police about it?
Before we even,
Well,
no, I plan on going there, but,
I don't know, we need to find out what they think too.
right,
The thing is about the building next door here, that was one of the rationales was, since the courts are here,
Convenience.
one of the
Right.
things was the compliance of whatever, not being the prisoners exposed to the public and et cetera, et cetera. And that was one of the driving forces to go ahead and acquire this building because of proximity. So, I'm thinking more of law enforcement.
I'm just throwing.
I would
ideas out
say pursue what it would take
to remodel the building.
to remodel the building.
I'm just throwing ideas out. I'm not.
Or, on the other hand, maybe look at, you know, a building just for the EOC. Because I'm thinking that would be a, you know, less square footage as,
And still utilize the building over for the,
yeah, as a community center, you know, as a meeting place. You know, we have it, I mean, that's,
Well, my idea initially is if we decided to remodel the existing building where I'm at now, remodel it with the EOC in mind, also with the full-time crew coming on, making it also
Mhm.
the whole gamut. So when I talk to USDA and all these other grant opportunities, we kind of have an idea of what
and there's plenty of room out there. What is the
we're-
acreage or blocks or,
God, okay,
Well, I know we have the, where the school buses are, that's not theirs, they just park the buses back there. And the sheriff has their impound back there, and then we have I would probably say, probably 3 acres,
okay,
and 2.5 acres is parking lot.
yeah.
So there's plenty of room to go back, forward, sideways, whichever way we might go.
We don't have much in the building that costs us $1,
No.
Yeah.
so that's the best deal we ever had.
Right, absolutely.
Definitely.
So there's definitely ways to go, unless you wanted to look at an alternative area for the building or whatever you like. Just need to have a direction.
I get anything, the existing building out there, just go ahead and make, get enough space on that that would be compliant and it's,
Right.
and use that for nursing and do that and see what
My opinion
grant
would
money we
be,
get for that.
if we're not gonna go to a public safety building with everyone involved, then we should just remodel the building to see how much it would cost.
Mhm.
Odds are it's gonna be a lot less expensive remodeling that building than opposed to building a new one. Any avenue.
That'd be the
It's
direction
too
I
much
think
to
right
do
now.
on Monday mornings.
I know, I've only had 2 cups of coffee. Brain tripping. So I will look into different avenues, get some ballpark numbers, maybe some ballpark footprint ideas. And we can approach this. Right, and especially once I get a hold of USDA, this new gentleman who's in this area, and try to get a feel for him and what his plan might be. If we can at least get a ballpark number of what we are available to have money-wise, that will give us a better direction.
Absolutely.
He lives in Newton, that has this area.
Don't know. He's new to the USDA in this area.
New within the last 6 months or
Yes.
whatever, yeah.
So I talked to Carol, she relayed all the information to this gentleman, he has not contacted her as of yet, as of Friday. So, we're playing phone tag about it also.
All right, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Coffee.
All right. How are you this morning?
I'm fine. This time last year, I was sweating that I would have to be asking the opposite of what I'm gonna ask today. I'm looking really good on my budget this year, and I'm gonna have some left over, and what I'd like to ask is if I can upgrade my 4 of our workstations. I've got a new server budgeted for next year for my budget, and we do have some workstations that really need to be upgraded, and I'm almost positive I'm gonna have enough money left over in my budget at the end of the year
Are you
to
talking
do that.
computers?
Yeah, my
Okay.
computers, yeah.
That's what we call them.
I
Sorry.
didn't know if you were talking
Yeah.
desks
No,
or what.
no,
Okay.
no,
Remodeling.
I'm done with that.
Okay. Computers.
So, yeah, our
Okay.
computers, yeah.
Okay.
So, and I'm hoping too also that maybe I could go ahead and get part of my server paid for in this year's budget. In case something would happen next year.
Give me the idea of the cost.
They're about $100 or $1,000 roughly per computer. And then my my server is right at 4,500. So I'm hoping that I can, if it's okay, if I have enough money to upgrade my computers, and then what I have left over, be able to put towards my server for next year.
Did the remodel of the elevator come out of your budget?
No, it didn't, but,
Oh, it should have. And I have to go to court. on that
actually, yes, actually, and hopefully we'll get restitution out of that, so hopefally that'll get paid back to the county.
Oh, we got.
We did
deal.
catch.
Jury trial. A jury trial.
Really?
Yes, yeah.
Not happy.
I'm just glad I wasn't involved. I just recognized the guy.
So you should go too. I'm gonna tell Chief back to
I think you
PG
have
too.
No.
She'd be over, yeah.
I knew though, I had a pretty good idea who it was and what, but,
So it started with you.
yeah, it started with
I'll
me
talk to you.
actually, but.
Put him in the position.
Get her
that he has
involved.
to try
I'm
to
going
do it
to.
again.
I
No, well, no, hopefully not. We watched him though, because he's been back since we've had Lenore.
You're keeping an eye on it
It's been
now,
okay.
huh?
Yes,
Somebody
we do.
going down with him up and down.
So will you be getting computers from the same vendor that you guys are getting them from, or?
We'd be getting Dells lately. I
Yeah,
don't know what you get.
well, we've always gotten them from Mac before.
That's why we went to Dell.
Yeah, and, now our computer tech is out of Great Bend, CPCIS, Kerry Guthrie. And he works with the whole district, our whole district on all of our computers and our servers and everything, and knows what the state program requires and everything.
Oh, okay.
So,
That's,
Yeah.
we'll stick with him.
yeah, I really think that's what I'm gonna do, because he knows
What you
my
need.
programs, he knows what I
That's
need.
always beneficial.
Yeah,
Yes,
I've gotten
absolutely.
quotes from OPI for new computers and a server, and they're just a little bit cheaper except for the installation, and they're quite a bit more. They're almost double for the installation cost. And I'm just not real comfortable going with them because they don't know my program, and
Well, that's well
and
worth the money, I think.
Carrie works really well with the state, because a lot of times we have to call Topeka to OJA, and they have to work together, and he knows who to talk to and
Okay.
what to do, so. I was hoping I feel good to do. This time last year, I thought I was gonna have to come and ask you for more money, but we sweated it out, and oh, those attorney fees killed me last year, but we're doing pretty good this year, so.
Good.
So does this require a motion, or just,
Yeah.
okay. I'll go ahead and make a motion and allow Mary to contact her vendor and purchase.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you, and I do appreciate the linoleum and
Inlay file.
the inlaid vinyl. It's a lot more sanitary. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anything else right now? We'll recess. Anybody have anything else this morning? I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned.